Hey guys, and welcome to Hearthstone, How to Build a Deck. A guide to building a solid deck without the need for net decking. The basis of a good deck can start from multiple different sources that every deck will follow in the end. These include mana curve. There are a few types of decks in Hearthstone, and each one focuses on their mana curve in a different way. The two main types of these are control, which typically has a flatter curve across the board than the latter, which is aggro, which has a more front-loaded curve in order to kill their opponent more quickly. The biggest question that comes from picking a mana curve style and which type of deck you want to play is, what will my win condition be? Whether aggro or control, each deck has to eventually take their opponent to 0 life in order to win the game. The win condition for control will typically be to do so at a late point in the game, with some specific card or combination of cards known as a bomb. This will be the basis of building a control deck, with finding a bomb that you think is interesting and building around it. For example, my combo of Leroy, Double Rockbiter, and either Wind Fury or Reincarnate in my Reincarnate the Wind deck. On the other hand, aggro decks will want to win the game as soon as possible, as to stop a control deck from being able to get to the point in the game where they can use their bombs. They do so with their hero damage intensive playstyle early in the game, and will mainly focus on minions who hit the enemy hero directly for as much as possible early in the game, followed potentially by a smaller bomb in the mid game in order to finish their opponent off. In this case, Leroy is probably the best choice. The rest of your deck for control will typically be centered around stalling your opponent in order to get to the point in the game where your bombs will go off, as well as drawing cards in order to reliably have your bombs by this stage of the game. You also may decide to take some sort of survival, such as heal or taunt, in order to stave off the aggro decks, while also being useful against other control decks who don't play many creatures themselves. Aggro, on the other hand, will have less room for controlling the opponent or drawing a bunch of cards, as it will mainly focus on getting the power needed to kill early. It will, however, require some sort of draw engine, in this case Jeeves, in order to keep itself from running dry before the opponent has reached 0. There are also a number of other archetypes in decks that are slightly different. These include Mill. This deck has the odd win condition of forcing draw from your opponent until they run out and fatigue. It relies on a lot of clearing the opponent's board, filling their hand, and hoping to force an overdraw of having more than 10 cards in hand, as well as keeping your life total up in order to win. It is a very strange way to play the game, and can be considered boring to verse by some due to the length of the games that go very far into fatigue on some occasions. Another type is mid-range, which focuses more on having better creatures than your opponent at each stage of the game in order to just outvalue your opponent to victory. You will be trading as though you play control, but will be focusing on minions as much as aggro does, with a sloping mana curve that will typically end with some form of combo finisher. It is able to be done due to your favourable trades giving you a solid board lead. In this case, Enhancer plus Bloodlust with a solid board lead will allow you to finish your opponent in style. This strat is typically used in arenas. As you can see, with this information, it is fairly easy to build a solid deck of your own that will be able to stand up with the rest of them in ranked. For any other information you may require, please leave a question in the comments. If you wish to know something else about decks or other, please feel free to leave a video suggestion in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.